I want you to close your eyes for a second. Picture this. It's a Monday morning, specifically 11:30 a.m.
Okay.
You were sitting in that third period class, maybe it's math, maybe it's English, and let's be honest, you haven't heard a single word the teacher has said for the last 20 minutes.
Oh, I know this feeling.
Why? Because you are absolutely starving. Your stomach is actually making noises, loud enough that the person at the next desk is starting to look concerned.
We have all been there. That specific, desperate pre-lunch hunger where you can't focus on anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in your head, you have a vision. You're dreaming of the school cafeteria's legendary French fries.
Mm-hmm. The good ones.
The ones crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. Maybe a side of that thick, salty gravy. Heck, maybe it's a double cheeseburger day. You can practically taste it.
You're making me hungry just talking about it.
The bell finally rings. You sprint down the hall, dodging freshmen. You get to the counter, wallet in hand, ready to feast, and you stop, dead in your tracks.
Let me guess. The menu isn't what you expected.
Oh, it's different, all right. Gone are the fries. Gone are the burgers. The deep fryer is cold.
Oh, no.
Instead, you are staring at a display of, raw vegetable sticks with hummus dip, whole wheat pitas stuffed with dry turkey, and fruit trays.
The classic healthy choice initiative.
Right. You stand there, tray in hand, totally betrayed. You realize that a decision has been made. Someone, somewhere, maybe the principal, maybe the school board, maybe the government, decided to ban trans fats in junk food.
And they did it for the good of the whole school?
They did. They want a healthier student body. They want to lower obesity rates. But you just wanted a burger.
And this is exactly where the friction starts. This scenario, which is actually based on, real shifts we've seen in cafeterias across North America, it brings us to the absolute core of today's deep dive.
It's the ultimate question of authority versus autonomy. You consider yourself healthy enough to make your own choices, right? You're almost 18. So who actually has the right to decide what you eat?
Is it you, the individual?
Or is it the group, the authority, looking out for everyone's collective heart health?
It sounds like a simple lunch complaint, but if you pull on that thread, you unravel, the entire history of Western civilization. It is a profound philosophical debate.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm one of your guides through the wild world of social studies.
And I'm your other guide, here to help add some context to the chaos. Today, we are speaking directly to you, the grade 12 students trying to crack the code of Chapter 2.
Our mission today is simple but massive. We are unpacking individualism.
Specifically, we are looking at the central tension of your course. To what extent should individual values shape our society? In other words, should we build our world around me?
Or around we.
Right.
We've got a roadmap for you today. We aren't just talking about fries. We're going to look at the origins of the self.
Yeah.
Where did the idea of I even come from?
Then we'll hit the political side rights and laws.
Then, the economic side money and markets.
And finally, the social side safety nets and schooling. It's a journey from the mud of the Middle Ages to the music in your pocket.
Let's get into it. Section 1. Origins. Where did I come from?
It is a funny question because today we take our individuality for granted.
Totally.
You have your own style, your own playlist, your own social media profile, which is literally a curated shrine to you. But if we dial the clock back to the Middle Ages, say between 500 and 1300 CE, the concept of individualism was basically unheard of.
This is the time of castles, knights, and the feudal system.
And a time of intense collectivism. In medieval Europe, you didn't really have an identity separate from your group. You fit into a category, almost like a species.
So you were a peasant?
You're a peasant, a trader, a craftsman, a noble, or a member of the clergy. That was it. That was your whole operating system.
So no finding yourself.
Yeah.
No taking a gap year to backpack across Europe to discover who you really are.
Definitely not. I mean, think about the physical reality of life then. If you were a peasant, you likely lived in a one-room hut. You slept in the same room as your parents, your children, and often your farm animals.
Wow.
There was zero privacy. You probably didn't even own a mirror. You might go your entire life without ever really seeing a clear reflection of your own face.
That's it. Hard to imagine.
So the very psychological concept of a private interior self that was separate from your village didn't exist in the way we think of it now.
That is claustrophobic to even think about.
It was rigid. You worked for a master, unpaid, as an apprentice, just to learn a trade. You did what you were told. And you can see this mindset in the art of the time.
Right.
If you walk into a museum and look at paintings from, say, 500 to 1300 CE, what do you see?
Usually really stiff religious figures.
Yeah.
Jesus, Mary, saints, everyone looks kind of flat.
Exactly. And the faces are stylized. They don't look like specific people. They look like icons. The focus wasn't on regular person.
Regular people weren't worth painting.
Not at all. The focus was on the divine, the church, the collective belief system. The cathedral dwarfed the village. It was a physical reminder that you don't matter, but we, the church, the kingdom, do.
So when does the me show up? When do we start seeing actual people with personalities?
Okay, so then we hit the Renaissance, roughly 1300 to 1600. The word literally means rebirth.
And what was being reborn?
The idea of the individual.
This is where we get the Ninja Turtles, right? Leonardo, Donatello.
The artists, yes. Take Leonardo da Vinci. Think about his famous drawing, the Vitruvian Man. You know, the one, the naked guy standing in the circle in the square with his arms out?
Classic. It's on t-shirts everywhere.
But think about what it represents. That drawing isn't about God or the church. It's about human anatomy. It's about geometry.
Yeah.
It's focusing on the dignity, the beauty, and the potential of the human form.
Ah, okay.
Suddenly, art starts depicting wealthy merchants, regular nobles, people with distinct faces. You can look at a portrait and say, oh, that guy had a crooked nose and looked kind of grumpy. The individual becomes interesting.
So we go from, you are a cog in the machine, to, hey, you're a human, and that's pretty cool.
Precisely. And that momentum carries us right into the Enlightenment in the 1600s and 1700s. This is the heavy hitter era. We call it the Age of Reason.
This is where science starts picking fights with tradition.
In a way, yes. Thinkers and scientists started to say, hold on, we shouldn't just believe things because the king or the church told us to. We should use reason.
Okay.
You've got Isaac Newton explaining gravity. You've got the realization that the Earth goes around the sun, which was a very radical, dangerous idea at the time because it challenged the status quo.
And politically, this was huge. Because if you can use reason to understand gravity, something that was previously just God's will, maybe you can use reason to understand how to run a country.
That is the spark. The radical idea emerged that every individual matters, and more importantly, that the individual is reasonable and capable of governing themselves.
Right.
Now, big disclaimer here. When they said individual, they mostly meant
Landowning white men.
landowning white men, exactly.
Right, we hadn't quite reached universal equality yet. But the seed was planted. The idea that you aren't just a subject of the king, but a rational person who can make decisions.
Which leads us directly into how this new individualism reshaped politics. This is section 2, political expressions.
So we need to talk about liberalism. And I don't mean the Liberal Party of Canada specifically, I mean the big L liberalism ideology.
Right. At its core, liberalism is an ideology based on the importance of individual liberty. The roots of this are found in the American Revolution of 1776 and the French Revolution of 1789.
The French really knew how to brand a revolution. Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
Liberty, equality, brotherhood.
Those words changed the world.
They signaled a shift from absolute monarchy, where the king is everything, to a system based on the rule of law.
Okay, let's unpack rule of law. It sounds like a boring textbook term, but it's actually the only reason the prime minister can't just come to your house and steal your TV.
Or throw you in jail because he doesn't like your shoes. The rule of law means that the law itself is the ultimate power. Not the king, not the president, not the prime minister. Everyone, no matter how powerful, is subject to the law.
And this goes way back, right before the French Revolution even.
Way back to 1215, the Magna Carta.
The Great Charter. I love this story. King John of England was, well, he was a bit of a villain.
He was tyrannical. He taxed people arbitrarily, imprisoned them without trial. Finally, the barons, the nobles, had enough. They cornered him at Runnymede and essentially forced him to sign this document at sword point.
So it was a limit on his power.
A huge limit. It said, you are the king, but you cannot just do whatever you want.
Winston Churchill actually said that the Magna Carta represents a law that is above the king. That was a game changer. It means nobody is special in the eyes of the court.
And that leads to the next big political concept, the social contract.
The deal.
Right. If we are all these free, rational individuals, why do we have a government at all? Why do we pay taxes and follow speed limits? Why don't we just run wild?
Because running wild sounds fun until someone stronger than you decides they want your stuff.
Exactly. Without a government, we are in what philosophers call the state of nature. And according to Thomas Hobbes, the state of nature is nasty, brutish, and short. It's chaos.
So we need a deal.
So thinkers like Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau developed this idea of the social contract. It's a trade-off. We agree to give up some of our absolute freedom, the freedom to do literally whatever we want, in exchange for security and benefits.
So I give up my right to steal your car.
And the government ensures you don't steal mine.
It's a membership fee for civilization.
Ideally, yes. And in return for that membership, the state protects our rights and freedoms.
Which brings us to things like the right to vote.
Suffrage. And it's important to remember how slow this was to evolve. We mentioned earlier that individual originally meant land-owning men. In Britain, women didn't get the vote until 1919, and even then, only if they were over 30. In Canada, First Nations peoples faced restrictions on voting for a long, long time, so the circle of who counts as an individual has had to expand over time.
Then there's freedom of speech, the Voltaire principle. I may disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
That is the ideal. But here is where it gets really interesting and where the rubber hits the road for our students. Does freedom of speech mean you can say anything?
Well, let's play devil's advocate. If I'm an individualist, shouldn't I be able to say whatever I want? Even if it's mean, even if it's a lie? Who decides what's too far?
That is the million-dollar question. And let's look at a Canadian case study from the text, the Keegstra case. This is a massive legal precedent in Canada.
James Keegstra, he was a high school teacher in Alberta.
Right. And in his classes, he taught students that the Holocaust was a hoax, that it never happened. He used deeply derogatory, hateful language against Jewish people.
He was grading students on this.
He was. So he was fired, and he was charged with hate crimes. But his defense, and this is the key, was, hey, I have freedom of expression under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I can say what I believe.
So he's using an individualist argument to defend himself.
Exactly. This went all the way to the Supreme Court. And here is the tension between individualism and the collective good. The court had to decide. Does his individual right to speak outweigh the harm he is doing to a specific group in society?
Because words aren't just air. They can incite violence. They can degrade people.
They can. And the Supreme Court ruled against Keegstra. They said that rights are not absolute. They can be limited if the limitation is, and this is the famous phrase, demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society.
So there's a test for it.
There's a test for it, yeah. Basically, the harm of hate speech is so great that it justifies limiting an individual's freedom. Your right to swing your fist ends where my nose begins.
Contrast that with somewhere like China, where censorship is much broader.
Right. In China, the government monitors media and the internet to ensure content aligns with the party's beliefs. In 2005 alone, they jailed 32 journalists.
Wow.
That is a system where the collective, or rather the state, has significantly more power over the individual than in a liberal democracy like Canada. But the takeaway for students is that even in Canada, the me has limits when it starts hurting the we.
Okay, so that's politics. We have our rights, we have the rule of law, but we need to eat. Let's follow the money. Section 3, economic expressions.
Money and markets. To understand economic individualism, we first have to understand what it replaced. We have to go back to the villains of this story. Mercantilism.
The old way.
Mercantilism was the dominant system from the 1500s to the 1700s. The goal was simple: make the state rich. The king wanted to hoard gold and silver to pay for armies.
It wasn't about you getting rich, it was about the nation having the biggest treasure chest.
Exactly. The government controlled everything. They handed out monopolies to their friends. The working class was essentially oppressed. No education, no free time to maximize national profit. It was very top-down.
Enter the physiocrats and a guy named Adam Smith.
Adam Smith.
Yeah.
1776, the same year as the American Revolution. He writes The Wealth of Nations. This book is basically the Bible of economic individualism.
He dropped the mic on mercantilism. He introduced the concept of laissez-faire.
Which is French for
Leave it alone.
leave alone. Smith argued that the government should stop interfering in the economy, stop setting prices, stop protecting monopolies, just let people buy and sell.
Smith basically outlined the 4 pillars of economic individualism. If you're a student listening, these are definitely going to be on your diploma exam.
Let's run through them. Pillar 1, economic freedom.
This is your right to buy what you want and sell your labor. Think about it. You're a student looking for a summer job. You have choices.
Right.
Do you pick the landscaping job that pays huge money but is backbreaking work? Do you kick the retail job at the mall because it's near your house? Or do you work at the movie theater because your best friend works there?
That choice is yours. The government doesn't assign you a job. That is economic freedom.
Okay, what's next?
Pillar 2, self-interest.
This one always trips people up. It sounds selfish. Smith is basically saying greed is good.
In a way, yes, but he's saying it's useful. He called it the invisible hand. The idea is that by acting for your own good, you accidentally help society.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's use the coffee shop example from the text. The owner of the shop isn't giving you coffee because they love you, they don't know you. They are doing it to make a profit. That's their self-interest.
Right.
To get that profit, they have to make the coffee taste good and price it fairly. You want coffee, that's your self-interest. You trade your money for the coffee, everybody wins.
The owner makes a living, you get your caffeine, and the economy flows.
It's a paradox. By looking out for #1, you actually help everyone else.
Got it. Pillar 3.
Competition.
This is what keeps the coffee shop owner honest. If there was only one coffee shop in the entire city, they could charge $20 a cup and serve mud.
But because there is competition, businesses are forced to improve quality and lower prices to get your money. Competition regulates the market without the government having to get involved. It forces efficiency.
And finally, Pillar 4.
Private property.
The right to own stuff. Land, physical items, your car, your phone.
And intellectual property, your ideas. John Locke, another philosopher, actually argued that the whole reason society exists is to preserve property. If I mix my labor with the land, if I farm it, it becomes mine.
It's worth noting this is a very Western European concept.
Oh, very. The text contrasts this with indigenous perspectives, where land was often seen as shared, owned by no one, given by the creator for the collective use.
That's a fundamental clash of worldviews. Individualism says, this square of earth is mine, I put a fence around it.
Whereas a collectivist view in many indigenous cultures says, we are part of this earth together, you can't own the land any more than you can own the wind.
So Adam Smith gives us this free market, laissez-faire world. But history happens.
The Industrial Revolution happens, factories pop up, and then the Great Depression in the 1930s happens. And people start to realize that pure economic individualism has a dark side.
When you leave the economy completely alone, some people get incredibly rich and some people starve.
Right. If you get sick and can't work, in a pure Smith system, you might just die. There's no safety net.
Which brings us to Section 4, social expressions. The shift to modern liberalism.
We realized we needed a safety net.
Exactly. Modern liberalism is still about the individual, but it acknowledges that you can't be truly free if you're starving, or illiterate, or sick. So we see a move toward government intervention.
And let's look at education. This is a huge battleground for individualism versus collectivism.
Okay, what's the debate?
The debate is, should the government run all schools to ensure everyone gets an equal education? That's the we approach. Or should schools compete like businesses? That's the me approach.
In Alberta, where our source text is focused, we have a mix. We have public schools and separate, the Catholic schools, which are fully funded, but we also have private schools where parents pay tuition.
And on charter schools, which are public but have a specific focus, like music or science, and home education. It's a menu of choices.
So the argument for this is pure individualism. Parents should have the freedom to choose the best fit for their child.
Right. And there's this concept called vouchers that gets debated. The idea is that the government gives parents a voucher, basically a check for the amount of tax money that would be spent on their kid, and says, spend this at whatever school you want.
It's like a coupon for school.
It is. And proponents say this forces schools to compete. If a school is bad, parents take their vouchers elsewhere, and the bad school either improves or closes. It brings market logic to education.
But opponents say, whoa, hang on. This hurts the public system. It drains money away from the schools that need it most.
It creates a two-tier system where the best students leave and the public system is left struggling.
So it's the classic me versus we debate. Do I do what's best for my kid, the me?
Or do we maintain a system that's best for all kids, the we?
Right.
Another intense social issue where this tension shows up is capital punishment, the death penalty.
Now, this was abolished in Canada in 1976. But it's still a huge debate globally and in the U.S.
It's a conflict of values. On one hand, individualism values human life. The right to life is fundamental.
But on the other hand,
individualism emphasizes responsibility for your actions. If you take a life, do you forfeit yours?
The arguments for the death penalty usually focus on the safety of the collective. If a criminal is dangerous, executing them removes the threat to the group.
It's a permanent solution from that perspective.
But the arguments against it focus on the individual rights of the accused. The risk of executing an innocent person, which has happened.
And the belief that human life is sacred and the state shouldn't have the power to take it.
Here's a fascinating data point from the text. In 1987, there was a vote in Canada on whether to bring back the death penalty. At the time, polls showed that 70% of Canadians supported bringing it back.
70%. That is a massive majority. In a pure democracy, that should have been a slam dunk.
But when the members of parliament voted, they voted against reinstating it.
That is a rare moment where the leadership went against the popular will to protect a specific interpretation of rights. It shows that even in a democracy, majority rule isn't always the final word.
Sometimes the right to life overrides what the we wants.
Right.
All right, one last social expression, and this one hits close to home for everyone listening. Intellectual property and music downloading.
The case of Jamie Thomas, Minnesota.
So Jamie was a single mom. This was a few years back during the Kazaa and LimeWire era.
The Wild West of the internet.
Totally. She shared 1,702 songs online.
The record company sued her. They didn't just want her to stop, they wanted damages.
And the verdict. She was ordered to pay $222,000 for sharing songs. That is life-ruining money.
So let's break down the ideologies here. This is like John Locke versus the internet.
The downloader view, which I'm guessing many students sympathize with, is often, hey, I'm just sharing. Information wants to be free. It's culture.
Right. I'm not walking into a store and stealing a physical CD. I'm just copying a file. Nobody loses the original.
That's the information freedom angle.
Yeah.
But the artist and record company view is pure economic individualism. They say that song is property.
I made it. I own it. It has value. If you take it without paying, you are stealing my livelihood.
It goes back to the coffee shop. If you take the coffee without paying, the owner fails. If you take the music without paying, the artist can't make more music.
But the modern twist is streaming. Now we pay for access, not ownership. You pay Spotify, but you don't own the song. Individual property rights for the consumer are kind of disappearing in the digital age.
We have covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from medieval peasants to digital pirates.
Let's do a quick recap of key ideas before we let you go.
First, history. Individualism isn't the default setting of humanity. It evolved. We went from the collective we of the Middle Ages, where you were defined by your class.
In the rebirth of man in the Renaissance and the Age of Reason in the Enlightenment.
Second, politics. This evolution gave us liberalism. The rule of law King John isn't special.
And rights like free speech, but with limits, as we saw with Mr. Keekstra.
Third, economics. Goodbye mercantilism, hello Adam Smith, the four pillars.
Economic freedom, self-interest, competition, and private property. The government steps back, the invisible hand takes over.
And fourth, social. We realized pure freedom can be harsh, so modern liberalism added safety nets. We constantly debate how much the government should intervene in our schools, our justice system, and our hard drives.
That sums it up.
Okay, students, pencils up mentally. It's time for Check Your Understanding. I'm going to throw 3 questions at you. See if you can answer them before we do.
Shoot.
Question 1. What is the French term Adam Smith used to describe the idea that the government should leave the economy alone?
That would be laissez-faire. Leave it be.
Question 2. Which historical document from 1215 forced the King of England to admit he wasn't above the law?
That is the Magna Carta, the Great Charter.
Question 3. This is a thinker. If you believe that a dangerous criminal forfeits their right to life to protect the safety of the group, are you arguing from an individualist or collectivist perspective?
That is a collectivist argument. You are prioritizing the group's safety over the individual's life.
Nicely done.
Before we sign off, we want to leave you with one final thought, a provocation for your day.
Next time you download a song or buy a coffee or even just decide what to eat for lunch, ask yourself, am I just doing this for me? Or am I part of a bigger machine? And it doesn't matter.
Are you the Vitruvian man standing alone in your circle, or are you just a pixel in the big picture?
Thanks for diving deep with us. Good luck with Chapter 2.
Class dismissed.